Hi everybody, my name is Patrick Peters from the Sunderland Conservatory of Music at Gettysburg College, and thank you for coming out to our petting zoo. I have the very fortunate responsibility of talking to you about my favorite instrument, the member of the brass family known as the trumpet. Now, before we really get into it, let's briefly go over some history about it. So, the trumpet has actually been around for centuries, but it didn't always look as nice as it does today. In fact, just over 300 years ago, these three little things you see here, which we'll discuss later, didn't exist. The trumpet was simply just a long tube that extended out into this bell. So you couldn't really play that many notes because these help a lot with changing pitches. Later on, there were rotors added. If you don't know what those are, feel free to check out one of my colleagues' videos on the French horn. And then eventually those got replaced with what we now have today, valves. This gave access to a ton of more notes and a lot more different playing opportunities. And ever since, it's just been building up a nice standard set of music that it can play across a whole variety of different genres. I'm excited to show you some of that, but first we got to actually go into what the different parts are. So, if you'll join me over here. So, this is our basic B-flat trumpet. If we start from over here, where this curved area is, we get what's called the bell. This helps to project the sound outwards so that everyone can hear it. And oh boy, can it be loud. If we follow it around, we'll actually get to these three little things with pegs at the top. These are known as the valves, as well as the valve casings. These three things, when pressed down, realign some of the inner workings so that you can get different notes to come out of the end of here. Now, if we exit this valve and this valve, you'll see these two little slides that when you actually press that valve down, they move. These are known as the first and third valve slides. They're for advanced players, but they actually help just adjust some more fine-tuning. Now, if we come back around and just in front of the third valve slide, we get what's called the tuning slide. This one is a lot harder to move, but is really good for changing the pitch of the instrument. And now, finally, we wrap all the way around to here. This is known as the lead pipe. This is where a lot of the sound that the player creates begins. And it starts right in here with the last piece of equipment that the trumpet has, the mouthpiece. The mouthpiece is extremely important. What you end up doing is you buzz into this thing, and then when that's inserted in here, that buzzing gets sent through all these tubes and then pops out the other end with a much more clear and resonant sound. As we mentioned over there, the center of all of the music comes from us, buzzing into this little mouthpiece. Now what I mean by buzzing is actually a motion with your lips, where if you say the word mom, you see how it closes like this? If you bring your corners in after that, the corners of your mouth right here, you can tighten this feeling. And once you get that nice and firm, you'll find that if you then press air out, you'll get a buzzing sound. Mom. If you add the mouthpiece, it focuses it even more. Mom. And then, of course, you add one last step, putting it into the trumpet itself with just a nice little put and twist. And now, play the same note. It comes out a lot clearer. So yeah, now that you know how the instrument itself sounds, you can start to explore all the different musics that it's been a part of. The most common of these would be classical, heard here with the piece Pictures at an Exhibition. Jazz is also very commonly associated with the trumpet, as you see here on Billy's Bounce. However, the trumpet also takes part in a lot of other kind of musics. Playing right now is 25 or 6 to 4 by the 60s group Chicago. Of course, it also had its place in the rhythm and blues and soul genres. While this is kind of a mix in between them, the song being played is Sir Duke by Stevie Wonder.
lastly, we actually have examples of trumpet even in modern pop. On OMI's Cheerleader, which was released just a couple of years ago, an entire trumpet intro is given, and then the trumpet helps accentuate different points of the song throughout. If you'd like to listen to any of these songs separately, I've listed a set of links that will lead to the recordings elsewhere.
So yeah, the trumpet's pretty versatile. Now I will say, this is not the only kind of trumpet. This is called a B-flat trumpet. There are also trumpets with a bunch of different letters, like C, E-flat. The F trumpet is actually called the piccolo trumpet specifically. Then you also have things like the flugelhorn, which is basically this if you added like extra tubing, and that one sounds a lot more mellow and deep, whereas this is, I think, beautiful, but it can be loud, it can be brassy, especially when it needs to be. The last thing I wanted to touch on is, why should you play the trumpet? And I'll be frank, it can be tough at times. Getting the buzzing is a little bit difficult. However, once you do, the rewards that come from this instrument are like nothing else I've ever experienced. The fullness of the tone that you get, the vast range of different music you're able to play, it's so fulfilling. Once you finally get past that first step of getting the lips locked, everything after that is just fun. So, yeah, it may take a few tries, but once you get there, I think you'll like it. So, once again, thanks for watching today. I'm Patrick Peters on behalf of the Sunderman Conservatory of Music at Gettysburg College. Thank you very much.